Hey everyone, back again. So in my last couple videos, I was showing what I sent into COMC. So I had a group of cards. I ended up sending about 650 cards in. And this time, what I'm going to show is what I'm selling here. So I'm logged into my account here. This is the home page of COMC. So we're going to go to my dashboard here. And if you guys aren't familiar with this, if you're not selling on here, you'll have a dashboard where you have your latest sales and your latest purchases. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go through my latest sales, and I will do a little bit of flipping on COMC. What I'll do is, I think I mentioned this in my past video. What I'll do is I'll go through, look for sales on the home page. There's the promotions link, and you can look for sales. And generally, I like to buy vintage stuff, 50s and earlier, mid 50s and earlier. And I'll take those and I'll sell them at shows. And I'll send in stuff that I have that I run into that I pick up in a lot or whatever. I'll take those and if I don't think I can sell them on eBay or at a show, I'll take them and I'll send them into COMC here. So in this video here, we got what I'm selling. So this is my sales history. So let's go back to the beginning here. We've got items in inventory. So I've got 7,500s right now. I do have some up here in the top left, if you see that aren't priced. These might be duplicates that I have sent in or stuff that I just don't know how to price exactly. And I'm not really concerned about whether they're priced or not at the moment. So we'll just worry about that at a different date. Once those cards that I shipped, once they start getting processed, which I'm assuming is going to take a couple months, they're still behind quite a bit. Um, I'll try to price this other stuff as well. And so in the top right here, we have store credit. Um, here is so I said I started probably about a year and a half ago, or early last year mostly, before the pandemic. So last year I was really going to try to push for getting a bunch of stuff on here while the pandemic hit, and um, they really got hit hard. COMC did with processing times and all that stuff. They had to put a hold on taking items and everything. So this is my total sales in a year and a half, which is pretty good. So we have this amount here, and the items sold. And I really didn't know what to expect when I started selling. So if you see, I've sold almost 4,500 cards, and I bought 4,000. So most of those actually that I bought have been in the last few months. I probably spent over 5,000 in the last few months, um, and they are quite behind on their shipping times, a couple months at least, probably longer. So it's not something that I can expect to get right back right away. So I do have other stuff to sell, but in reality, I think it's good that they're coming later on because I don't really have a lot of card shows coming up. Um, in items added to the site here, we have almost 11,000. I'm assuming that includes stuff that I flipped. So here we have view all sales. Let's look and see what has been selling. Like I said in the previous videos where I talked about, I showed what I was sending. You must send stuff that is either sought after and maybe a higher value card, or stuff that's really unique or unusual, that there's not going to be, if you have one specific card and there's 200 cards on COMC, then it's not likely to sell. So if we look here, here's a card that I flipped. I was probably just scrolling through, saw some things that I like. It's a Tony Gwynn jersey card, pretty awesome card, and that's actually numbered to 250. So I figure, well, I bought that for $2.50. I'll just relist it for the next lowest price, and I made $1.24 on it. And I'm not looking to get that money back like in cash, like have them send me a check, because so here's my amount. If I have them send me a check, it's going to be 10% minus that amount. So I would much rather just take the credit buy a bunch of stuff and then try to resell the show. So if I buy something for $1, then I'm pretty certain that I'm going to get 2 or 3 at a show for it. Or if I buy something for 2, I'm pretty certain that I'm going to get 5 out of it. So that's the way you got to think about when you're buying things on COMC to resell. I already have an idea of things that I can sell, having done quite a few shows. And, so I'll just go through and look for stuff. And if I see something along the way that I think I can flip. So here's another example. This Yadier Molina card. So I bought it for $255, and then I sold it for $499, and so I got $474 out of it. So they're going to take 5% of your sale. So we're looking at $2, $220 out of that, $219, but not a great amount of money. But if I'm just looking through, here's another one here that I flipped. This is a Joe Montana second year there. So obviously that's a pretty nice card of Joe Montana. It's in decent shape. And I saw it was lower price than the other one, so I just bought it. Flipping through, some stuff to look for shows, bought it, just relisted. So I got a couple dollars on that one. So I'm just looking, and I don't mind having that card. At some point that card is going to sell as long as you're listing it, not for a lower price. You don't necessarily have to undercut everybody, but if you're just having it. So let's look here. So the next lowest one for this is, for an excellent to near mint, is this one. So I probably had it priced a little low. The other ones probably sold that were already on there. So maybe I could have got a buck or two more out of it. But it was a quick flip. I probably only had this card for a couple weeks, maybe. Ones that are doing pretty well here, these wrestling cards. And that card actually came from I bought a port, which is where someone sells all their cards for one price. And this one, I do believe this one came from a port as well. So I got a little bit of money on those. So those are both flips. I got more than $2 on that. Got about 55 cents on that one. Another flip here. So 55 cents, 1961 tops. That's a nice card. These aren't high dollar cards, but again, I'm not looking to like hang on to something super long if I'm going to flip it. It's either going to be something I like, that I feel like is a good investment, and it'll probably sell eventually, most likely. So if you look here, all these kind of cards that I'm selling, these are all pretty unique cards. So like the Gwyn there. Here's a Coca-Cola card of the Saints. Here's a autograph card. Autograph cards are going to do well. Luis Severino. That was just something I picked in a lot. That's not going to sell at a show. The wrestling cards, like I said, are doing well. These star basketball cards are doing well. Tiffany. This is a Tiffany Topps 85. That sold for $8. That's just a card I had in a box. So I sent that in. Like I said, you guys might have, in a previous video, I said you guys might have this kind of stuff in your boxes sitting out at home somewhere. You don't need them. They're just taking up space. And then I can, if you're just a collector, you can get better stuff. Send in a bunch of cards, send in 1,000 cards or whatever. Here's a Divas, Wrestling Divas. Another kind of oddball autograph card. Some of these comic superheroes do pretty well. The jersey cards generally do pretty well. Numbered jersey cards. So here's an example of a card I bought at a show that was $1, and it sold for $8.74 here, and then I end up getting $8.30 in credit. So with that credit, I feel like I can buy some stuff and turn that $8.30 into $15-20. So that's what I'm looking to do. So I took $1, bought this card at a show, sold it on COMC. I'm probably getting 650 or something after all my fees and everything, after the price of the card plus my fees. I'm gonna take that 650 and turn it into probably $15. So that came from $1. So you can kind of see my thought process of, okay, I'm buying a card for this much, gonna flip it on COMC, gonna take that credit, gonna take whatever I buy off COMC, sell at a show, take that money, put it back in, so it's just a never ending cycle basically, where you're just building up. This is how you build your COMC account. This is how you build things that you um, are selling at shows or eBay, whatever. Like you can choose to do all those things or just one. But if you're into cards, I would recommend doing this same exact process that I'm doing. Here's a bunch of flips here. These are these Star Basketball. Like I said, a lot of those will do pretty well. So these all bought for like 55 cents and they sold for $1.79. You see those. This card here was part of that port I bought. So, you get 22 cents. But when you buy a port, you're going to end up with a lot of stuff like this. So I'm just pricing it at the lowest possible price that's listed, and I'm just looking to get rid of it basically and get a little bit of money back. Same with like this Brett Favre came from a port. I only got 33 cents out of it, but I don't really care. The ports that I'm going to buy, if there's 400 cards, I got to expect to get my money back out of the top 50 or whatever, and then the rest is just bonus. Some more like oddball, old boxing from 1915, oddball stuff. Oddball, Garbage Pail Kids, those came from a port as well. Mike Trout's, I bought those from a port. And here's like a Chris Sable card I just had in a box somewhere, and I know I paid $1 for that set a while ago, and I got $6.40 in credit, so basically, I got $5 that I can use to buy whatever. So even like older football and stuff like that, it depends what it is, but I try to look everything up before I send it. Like I said, it's in the previous video, it's going to be time consuming. But at 50 cents a card, you got to take the time to do that. Otherwise, if you're sending 1,000 cards, it's $500 just for them to process it. So you got to make sure you're sending in stuff that's going to sell. It's got to be selling for a couple bucks or whatever. And you basically, like this card, for example, just a random autograph card. I know I don't have anything into that. Maybe I have 10 cents or something that came in a lot. So that sold for $2. Okay. And this one I know I bought for $1, Larry Bird. So I ended up getting 428. So basically 375 after my fees. So I get a $275. And some of the dollar stuff you get, you're gonna sell. Maybe you get $2, you get $3 back, maybe. But some of them, I know there's some stuff that I just sent that I'm gonna get $30 out of. So maybe you're not making too much on some cards, but other cards are your real money makers. You're getting $20, $30, $40 possibly, on some of the stuff you're finding. So, but the deal is you got to go find it and you got to know what you're looking for. So as you can see, here's a flip here that was a pretty good flip. A certified index card cut. I just felt like for $5.58 that I paid for it, it was gonna at least sell for 15 or whatever. So it sold for $22.80. I ended up getting $21.66, minus your cost here. So you're getting about $15 after everything, 16. So that's pretty good return on your money, right? And even like a card like that, something like this, it's fine if I don't sell it really. At some point it's probably going to sell, but I personally like that kind of stuff. So here's another one that sold. This was for $70. I probably have $5 into this card. I bought a bunch of these a while back, and this one sold for. I made a good profit on that one. But as you can see, everything that's selling is oddball stuff. Is really kind of. Here's another Tiffany 85 Daryl Strawberry. So guys, I'm gonna have another video. So this is the kind of stuff that I'm selling. So look at the ones I sent in, and look at this video and see what's selling. Next video I'm gonna have is going to be what I'm buying. So stay tuned for that. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.